you never know when you start out in something where the journey's going to take you. And there's highs and lows like anything in life, but I've transitioned from all different roles as a player. I wasn't very good, then I got better. Then I was someone who was getting recruited, and now I was, getting to play professionally. And then I was like, how do I stay around this game?
Wow.
So I wanted to coach and really do for others what my coaches did for me, which is just give them a belief and kind of help them reach their potential.
Today on Leading Lubbock, I'm honored to sit down with Coach Todd Duncan, LCU men's basketball head coach, Hall of Famer, and one of the most steady and intentional leaders I've ever met. In this episode, we talk about the kind of influence that stretches far beyond the scoreboard, what it means to persevere when things don't go your way, and how to lead with humility and trust in every season of life. Let's dive in. Well, welcome back to Leading Lubbock. Today, I have the privilege of sitting down with Todd Duncan. Todd, you are the head coach for LCU men's basketball. And so I'm excited to get to talk to you about life, about your profession, because it sounds to me like maybe basketball is part of your journey all the way around.
Yeah, from before I can remember, there was pictures of me with the ball, and not sure how basketball found me or if I found it, but my parents were great supporters of that, and that's really just had a love for the game. My dad was an electrician. My mom was supporting him in his business and working a little outside the home, but didn't necessarily grow up like in a coach's home or, and just had a little goal in the backyard. And, I just, no one ever had to push me to want to be around the game. I just loved it. It was what I was thinking about, pretty much all day, every day. And I'm still blessed to be sitting here with you, still active in the game of basketball. Yeah. And it's really just blessed my life in so many ways, not just putting the ball in a basket, but the relationships, the things I've learned. It's just allowed me to go places, see people or meet people and have an experience that I'm very grateful for. And you never know when you start out in something where the journey's going to take you. And there's highs and lows like anything in life, but I've transitioned from all different roles as a player. I wasn't very good. Then I got better. Then I was someone who was getting recruited, and now I was, getting to play professionally. And then I was like, how do I stay around this game?
Wow.
So I wanted to coach and really do for others what my coaches did for me, which is just give them a belief and kind of help them reach their potential. Because really, we all have a level of potential that's untapped that we don't know. That's the mystery of it, is how good can we be, or where can we go? Kind of the reaping what you sow. Later on, I discovered is really what that is. But so yeah, that's now here I am coaching basketball. And the cool thing about that, I coached high school 15 years, and then I got the opportunity to go coach college. About to begin my 15th season at LCU. And I didn't have to move houses. I didn't have to uproot my family and take them all over the country, with what my wife does, with my family. I feel very blessed. There's nothing wrong with the other path, but for me and what I value, that was the path I wanted to take. So there was a time I thought, I'm going to be a high school coach, and that'll be fine. I have great respect for those coaches, and I was one for 15 years. So grateful I get to do it at the college level, just, kind of stretch yourself. And recruiting now, just, you're just, as a competitor, you just always want to see how good you can be.
Yeah.
And so as a coach and a team, we're doing that, but also, I'm doing that individually with my players.
It's really neat to think, because you had talked about the love of the game that you have and the things that you've learned from it. But what I love thinking about is even the things that you can't quantify at all, which are the lives you're touching, with all these kids. I can't imagine the amount of kids you've coached throughout your years, 30 years of coaching total. And I think about, you have no idea what every one of those players is doing now in their life.
Right.
And the ripple effects of what you do when you're coaching with them that much, because you spend a lot of time with these guys.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes more than your family.
Right.
During the season, for sure.
So just the ripple effects that you have through the guys that you're coaching is really neat.
Well, there was a stat, I don't know how long ago I heard it, but that a coach will influence 22,000 lives. I think Billy Graham Ministries came up with it in the course of a career. Exponentially, they're having children, they're moving on. So you just never know. But you're going to have influence, and it's either going to be good or bad.
Yeah.
So you need to be intentional about making it good. Obviously, I haven't batted 1,000 in that. I've made my mistakes, but I'm glad that I can go to the grocery store or go about my life, and if I run into a former player, it's a good exchange. I'm excited to see him. I've had former players bring their kids now to my camps. I'll be in a restaurant and see somebody, and it's a lot easier for them to remember Coach than it is for me to remember everybody's name.
I bet.
But even if it's just someone I had a week in camp, I usually remember them, and I don't know why, just because I've always just wanted to pour into them and feel like that might be my one shot to say something or do something that could help them and benefit them. So that's kind of been the approach I've taken, and it's just kind of how I'm wired. Really, it's not something I have to motivate myself to do. It's just something I want to do, and I feel like I should do.
Okay, yeah, and. So you mentioned you have a wife, so I want to dive into that just a little bit. I'm married to Holly Duncan, and I was fortunate enough to have Holly on way earlier when I started this, so many episodes back. And the number 30 also hit, ring a bell with me, because she's been in her ministry now, in her role for about 30 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think maybe 31 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of gets blurry now.
Yeah.
And we were both in our careers, and then we're getting married too. So kind of, just those journeys have been intermingled. And she's an elite leader, and she's sustained and built a dynamic ministry that impacts. You talk about true impact. And, so we've been able to bounce stuff off each other, go through the trials and tribulations of being a leader, the successes, the victories, but also, you're in the people business, so the one thing neither one of us want to do is let down someone we really care about. But yet it's inevitable in life in a fallen world. So we just, how can we just be better going forward? So, I've watched her lead from a distance, up close. I've seen the impact that she's made, and that's inspired me a lot of times just to see what she's dealing with and how she leads well with people, how she keeps her composure when things are kind of chaotic around her. And, in the midst of what I do in a basketball game, it's unscripted as well, and you just got to, handle some of those waves and take those body blows and not flinch and keep rolling. So, I feel like I've kind of had a front row seat to an outstanding leader, and I've been blessed to share in her life, and she's definitely been every good coach has a great wife.
Yeah.
Or they're not reaching their potential if they don't have the support at home, for sure.
Well, the wonderful thing about this is that this is all nomination based. So somebody nominates somebody else, and you and Holly were not nominated together. It's not like she came on and said, "Oh, you need to interview my husband." It came from two different realms and categories. And so, what I love about that is it just shows me the dynamic of you guys as a couple, that you're influential and you're impacting lives in totally different circles. And so people see you guys that way. So admire that a ton. I think it's really inspirational for me too. Of like, how do you raise a family of leaders, right? Because you don't have to be the only one in your household. You don't have to be, and hopefully your kids, are seen as leaders too. And
we've tried to be intentional about all that. The old saying, don't prepare the path for them, just prepare them for the path is kind of the mentality. So whatever journey they take them on will be God guiding them, and we just want them as prepared as they can be. So that's what we've really tried to. And you just see, like, as busy as we are, we still were able to take time for the kids and hopefully not have them miss out on anything because their parents were leaders or busy or. I mean, that's just life, and we were blessed to have grandparents that were supportive in great schools, teachers, coaches, just like we had growing up.
Yeah,
everybody's pouring into you, and it's been real positive, and I'm glad that they got those positive examples to to look up to, not just us, because we're mom and dad to them, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously we want to lead, mentor, encourage, advise, whatever the role is, and it's always changing as they grow older. But that's been fun to partner with Holly on that as well.
Yeah.
And it's life, so it has its twists and turns, but it's been good.
Yeah.
We're very blessed.
Man, basketball, sports in general, just has so many principles wrapped in it, and love that it's not just life that's teaching you how to be a better leader, but it's also the game, right? It's also your coaches. It's also the mentality of having to pursue or persevere and keep pushing on. So I mean, so many practical
There's no
lessons.
carryover, you know. Like you can get some momentum, but really, you just whatever happened yesterday, we got the rent's due again today. We got to pay it. We got to show up and punch the clock or whatever you want to say. So, and if you love it, that's not a challenge. But as a leader, not everyone loves it like you do. So now there's where the creativity and all the factors that come into being an effective leader come into play, because now, you know, it's really not coaching if you're just showing up and everybody's just eager to do whatever you ask at any moment and 100%, you know, like it's demanding. You got to hold people accountable. You got to set a high standard, and you got to help them see what they could be. And so many cliches that are, but they're really truisms. You know, nobody cares how much you know till they know how much you care. You got to build. I just say I'd have to make some deposits in their account. So when I have to make a withdrawal, you know, the account's still healthy, so that we're not in the red.
There's some marriage tips in there too. In there,
yeah. Probably need to apply this, you know, in other areas of life. But it's so true, you know, because I found that most people want to be successful. Most people want to reach their potential. I always talk about the best of whatever they do. A lot of them have coaches. You've seen the word coach get used in a lot of fields that are not athletics now, whether it's a financial coach, a performance coach. I mean, whatever. There's personal coaches. Yeah. There's all kinds of people.
Business, life, for
sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. So people see the value in that. But yet sometimes when you're a coach of a team, you know, you're in that position because, you know, they don't get to choose their coach always. I mean, high school kids don't. You know, colleges they do. But so it's like, you know, if you're going to be a coach, be a good one. Like, these kids deserve that. Their careers are short. You may coach 30, 40 years, but these kids get to play a short window in their life. Very few go on to play in college, much less the professional ranks. So when are these lessons that sports can teach them going to be there if you don't take advantage of it then? And that's hard because, you know, sometimes those lessons aren't going to be learned or appreciated till much later in their life, after you've, you know, maybe passed on from their life in terms of the day-to-day interaction. But you still have to trust that this will take root or hold at some point, and one day they're going to know if I did them right or wrong. And they'll mature up, and they're going to see, like, you know, okay, I know what Coach was saying. And that happens to me all the time too when I'm coaching these young kids, and maybe their parents are there like, yeah, Coach, I see now. Or I have former players that go into coaching, and they're constantly calling, just saying, what about this or this, or I see this now, or wow, did you have to deal that with us? And you know, I always am just grateful that I'm still getting to speak into their life or be on that journey with them, because really it's relationship business, you know, whatever. It just happens to be a round ball that we're, you know, throwing. It's a silly game when you think about it, but so that's why I'm grateful, you know, because we're in a sports obsessed world, and it's country for sure, and state, and so I'm grateful I get to live in Lubbock. I'm grateful I get to be around the people I am, the environment, the culture, the programs I've been a part of. So, the journey continues, and you just keep trying to be better.
It's funny you say it's a silly sport when you kind of like strip away all of the details out of all these sports, you know, whether it's football or golf or basketball, you know, you're trying to take a ball and put it in a hole, right? And it's just
or hit it real far,
or
carry it across a goal line, soccer, kick it in a net, etc. Tennis,
you dumb it down, and it's just, or strip it down, and it's like, oh, it's that basic, huh? That's what
our competitive nature is almost innate for all of us. We're, you know, some people don't compete, but you know, I always tell our guy, like, the biggest your biggest competition is in the mirror.
Yeah.
Your potential versus your reality.
Yeah.
And that's the gap we're trying to close.
Yeah. Well, you got so many people that, you're going to have some who make it into the next level, pro, and maybe even high school. You're thinking about them going to college, but I would imagine most people, right, are just going into the workforce.
It's less than 3 or 4%.
Yeah.
Go on.
So the principles that you're teaching, like, you would hope it's going to be astronomically more life principles than they are basketball, because that's so limited in their time frame, right?
100%.
So I love that. That's what I hear from you as you're talking about coaching. Well,
it's very shallow if it's just a win
Yeah.
or a trophy.
Yeah.
It's got to be more than that.
Yeah.
Obviously, those trophies will collect dust, and there's memories in them for sure because they represent a season. They represent the players. For me, the recruiting, the trials, the injuries, the highs, the lows, the trips, the sacrifice. Mm-hmm. So I have great respect for those people that go on that journey with us and trust us to lead them and basically commit to the cause, whatever that is. So I never forget, I get to be in this seat, but with that privilege comes responsibility. Yeah. So
absolutely
be as mindful of it as you can be.
Okay. Well, you mentioned effective leadership a little bit earlier. I kind of heard you say that line, but would love to hear from you. Like, what does effective leadership look like, and has it always been that way, or did it evolve over time a little bit?
Oh, of course, it's evolved for me. I just think I look back and say, I didn't know what I didn't know. I was just passionate. I was going to work hard, and we were just driving, as hard as we could to just get to the next step. But the great thing about that when I look back is all those kids that I coached my first few years are some of the most loyal to me, some of the deepest friendships, the people I stay in contact with the most. And I think those kids were going to turn out great whether I'd been a part of their life or not. But I just was able to keep them on the trajectory, and they were able to help me look good as well. And they were so kind and gracious to overlook so many probably faults that I had when I was starting out. But they all signed up to just work hard, and we had big visions and big dreams. And that's what I loved about that part of starting out. But I definitely look back and kind of cringe when you think about missteps or ill-timed words or, so many things just from a coaching perspective, strategy. You just do your best at the time you're doing it and hope it all works out. And hopefully next year I'll look back and think I could have done better this year. I mean, if you're growing and improving, I think that's just a natural response from that. If, they're saying if you're still talking about what you've accomplished, recently, you probably haven't done much today. Yeah. So, those things are in the past, but yet they're a part of they're an indicator of what our future can be too if we'll apply some of those things.
Yeah, it kind of is like the games that you're talking about where sports are unique in that, like, you're done with one game, you shake that off, you move on to the next one, but you're learning lessons from that last game. Oh, yeah. You can go back and watch the film on it, and you're reevaluating the mistakes that could have improved or even the good things that happened that could be improved upon. Yeah. And so even the same way of like some of the lessons that you learned in your interactions with these guys, you're like, man, if I need to go back and watch that film and figure out what I need to do different next time.
Yeah. And just constantly evaluate what you don't improve, or don't measure, you can't improve. Yeah. So we just try to evaluate everything we're doing. Like, how can we improve this? How can we measure it to a point to where we can show these guys success? Because sometimes it's incremental and they're working hard. They don't feel it. They don't see it, but you can show them on paper. You can show them on video. So, to be able to show evidence of improvement, you've also got to show maybe some failures. So now I can point out to, remember when we said this or did this? Now look at how it's different now. And again, that goes back to making those deposits that are, you're just building up trust, which to me is probably the number one effective trait of a leader. I think, that person needs to be humble. They need to be hardworking. They need to be servant-hearted. We could come up with a lot of adjectives, but the people that are under you, they need to trust you. Yeah. Because if they don't trust you, they're never bought in. If they're never bought in, they're never going to be at their max potential. And so, and the reality is none of us probably ever max out our potential. but we're definitely trying to narrow that gap. So I always think like the people that are over me, and whether it is in our government or, just the whatever, I want to be able to trust them. Can I trust that person?
Yeah.
And I think we see around us, that's probably something, if I'm watching the news or I'm reading an article or like, can I trust this patient?
Sure.
And I was naive to start out. I thought everybody cared. I thought everybody wanted to be their best. Because I thought I'm not very special and that's how I am. So surely that's how everyone else is.
Yeah.
So, I just felt like I had the most to learn in the room. Not, even on my players, like they have great parents. They're intelligent kids. I'm coaching kids that if I were in their class, they'd be a lot smarter than me. So I gotta bring something to the table here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think just whatever that is, that trait of just it's probably competitiveness, it's passion, it's desire, it's maybe ego even that could be unhealthy if it's unchecked. So. You're just putting all that in the pot and mixing it together and seeing what comes out. So, and you're trying to win, and there's a scoreboard, so you're getting judged on the results.
Sure.
And yet, like you said, the real results are 20 years later when you're
right.
a father, a husband, a leader, an employer, employee.
But in that moment, it's a scoreboard.
Yeah, at that moment, it's who had more than the other team.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I love that you're talking about the idea of trust, because I feel like if there's one link between a leader and a follower, it's trust, right? Mm-hmm. If without it, like, it doesn't matter how much you know, how much you do anything, your expertise in that field,
right,
or your management, without the trust, like, you're not going to have a true follower. And I love that. I think it's a great word to use as an effective leader. So.
Well, I believe that, and I think this person needs to know that I have their best interest at heart. Yeah. And if my win is their win, that's how I'm going to win. Mm-hmm. My playing days are over. Yeah. So they're not popping popcorn and coming to the gym to watch me play. Sure. It's about them. Yeah. And so, again, going back to the brevity of their career, the trust that their parents put in me or that they've put in me. We have kids who come from other countries, so they're the sacrifices. I just have to maintain the respect for all of those things. Mm-hmm. That this is a kid just like me that has a dream. Yeah. Now my part is to hold them accountable and help them reach their potential. Yeah.
Well, that's great. So, looking at your life, was there a moment in time, like a pivotal moment for you that kind of shaped who you are? That could be in life or in your profession.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind from a basketball standpoint is my junior year of high school. I'd gone to talk to my coach, who was an outstanding coach and an outstanding person. And I said, I really want to play college basketball. And he said, I just got to be honest with you. You're not good enough, in my opinion, to do this.
Is that right?
And man, I'd had a goal of 3x5 card on my mirror since 8th grade that didn't say I hope to play college basketball. I want to play college basketball. It said I will play college basketball. And I'd read it every morning when I went in the restroom. It was just there on my bathroom mirror to remind me. Not that I needed a reminder, but it was just kind of a way. And I was not a very good player in junior high when I wrote it. So I'd have teammates or friends over and like, you should set a goal to maybe start or be on the A team, or, they would tease, your good friends are going to really encourage you. Yeah. So, I go to this coach and he was being honest, and he was, I can look back now and say, he said what he thought was right. Mm. And God just used it to motivate me even more, if that was possible. This coach went on to take another job like 2 weeks later. The new coach came in. I go to him with the same conversation. And he's like, I'll do whatever I can to help you accomplish that. And just the best part about the first conversation is it didn't defeat me. I didn't go out of that conversation thinking I can't do it. I just thought, like, I don't know, my recollection is how accurate it is, but what I remember thinking is, of all the people on the earth, just one person doesn't think I can do it. So I can still do this. And I was willing to put in the work, and it was sacrifice. But it wasn't work to me. It was just love. Yeah. But I think for most people it would probably be called obsession or or something, because there was nothing I wasn't willing to do.
Yeah.
And, stay out late, get up early, run how far, I'll go further. Just find the best players. So I'm driving by, somebody shooting at a park, I'm going to pull over. You want to play one-on-one? Really? Yeah, I can. There's so many stories of go to the east side. I would go to every gym in Lubbock. I knew when their open gyms were. And just in the meantime, my dad's making me work, 8 hours a day. So it was I was getting a work ethic and developing some grit that I probably didn't even realize at the time. Yeah. So I'm thankful for that now as I look back.
Yeah. I just think about how many times we're told something like that where, it's probably not going to happen. Don't get your hopes up. Right. Where maybe it's even a little more subtle than that. I don't know if we always hear the direct, no, you can't, but we probably interpret it that way from the way people respond to us. And how many times we take that and we run with it and just like, you're right, and write off the potential that we have. Because that's a really cool story to hear of somebody who heard it and used it as motivation, and your passion outweighed, that negativity.
I didn't have plan B. I didn't have plan. I didn't have a choice. And I think what you just said, when we hear it and we run it's almost like that somebody just gave us an out, an exit ramp. Okay. Now I don't have to push through or go up this hill. I've got my excuse already handed to me. I can just say so and so didn't believe in me. And I can have that excuse the rest of my life, and it's sad. Yeah. Because even when I have to tell someone that, I don't think you're good enough to play here, or we're gonna have, we're just not recruiting you, or whatever, it's hard. Because I hate disappointing people. I truly hate it, and yet I have to be honest. I can't lie to someone. Yeah. Because I want them to trust me, and if I lie to someone, they can't trust me. Yeah. And so I have to. But I also usually qualify with, you can go prove me wrong and I'll be the first one to give you a high five. Like, if you need this for motivation, take it. Put a chip on your shoulder. Keep an edge. Think of me every morning when you get up to prove somebody wrong. That's okay. Like, I'm not your enemy here. Yeah. And this can be a moment where you get better because of it. But if you don't love it, just don't make the excuses either. Yeah. So at that point, I've done my part, and it has to, it goes where it goes, but I just feel like that's an unfortunate part of my role, is sometimes I have to be that voice that kind of tells them yes or no. Mm-hmm. And I try to be as educated on it as I can. But I don't know the future. Like, I can't predict. We all seen these undrafted players become Hall of Famers, or people were told they're not smart enough run big businesses, or the C students or the CEOs, as they say, or whatever. So, I just I don't like to predict someone's future for them, But I do believe in the reaping and sowing, like I talked about. Like, you're not going to get there without that. Yeah. And sometimes those obstacles are your best friend. Mm-hmm. But when you just let fear overcome it, or your laziness, or your weak-mindedness. Yeah. So I, even in camps, I'm like, hey, just parents, let us push them. How can anyone get better if they don't get out of their comfort zone? Yeah. Like, they can't. There's no easy path. Many good things. A couple of things I hear. There's like a responsibility piece of, I'm in charge of my own path, my direction that I'm heading in. You're in charge of yours, and I can hear and then filter out what I need to, or use it however I want. But if somebody's convincing me that this isn't the route because XYZ, then either I'm still in charge in that moment. Either I'm going to take that and use it as fuel, or the alternative is to use that and run. But you're right. I think it's the motivation behind it of, did I want it that bad, or was I ready for somebody to tell me that so I could take a step back? Yes. So, and I would say it's like medicine. Like, you gotta see what dosage do they need to help them get better, because
gauging that. Yeah.
Because we've all heard this is what they need, but we're not sure if they can handle it. Yeah. Or their body's not prepared, or their mind. So I just think the medicine, the cure, whatever it is, we have to. To me, that's leadership. The art of it is just you're always contemplating all these paths that you could go on.
Yeah.
You know, like say if you're a hammer, every problem's a nail. Like you have to have a multi-tool facet approach.
Sure.
And there's sometimes it's a one size fits all. This is what we're doing, and there is no questions asked. I'm the leader, and you're going to do it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like let's have buy-in. Like let's. I want everyone to feel like they're a part of this journey, because there's one ball, one person gets to shoot it. Only 5 can be on the court for my sport. So there's a lot more times you're passing the ball, or you're encouraging a teammate, or you're cheering, or you're not playing, and how can you still benefit from that journey?
Yeah.
We all love the stars, but there's a lot of role players too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can be good at basketball, I think you can be good at a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
Because you're having to accept and flourish in a lot of different roles.
Yeah.
And,
It's like a movie nobody wants to watch with just the main actor. I mean, that would be a
supporting actors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Behind the
scenes. I guess I say that, and there's like the movie Castaway, right, where you got one person on the ocean forever,
and a ball,
in a ball. But even he needed something else.
Yeah, he was lonely. I think. So it's there's so many people, just like you said, behind your journey, behind mine, just teachers, friends, Sunday school his neighbors. I mean, it's just it's cool how God uses it all.
Yeah,
it's really a neat thing for me.
I love analogies and I like gardening. So I got vegetable gardening, love peppers and tomatoes, and so I like to tie it back to that because I think we've all got like a seed planted deep inside of us, and then you're not the only one watering it. You're not the only one giving the nutrition to your players. Like you're one part of this whole big journey for their life, and for a little bit of time. I mean, it may be 3 or 4 years, but still, that's very insignificant in terms of 50, 60 years, right?
Yes, totally.
And there's a lot of different factors, and I think about like the nutrients and stuff that are all going into it, and then you got this plant emerging. And to your point of like, the adversity, the hard points in life are what make you stronger. They're what help you persevere. And I'm thinking, man, my most fruitful plants are the ones that like survive the hailstorm. They're the ones that survive the windy days. And now you've got this
the roots are deeper,
robust,
stronger, or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then you may not see the fruit of it.
Right.
And so going to this point of like the 22,000 lives,
where there's people, there's birds, there's insects, there's all these things coming against it, the storms, the wind, the rain, the hail, the sun. Like, you've got to protect it too.
You do.
From these things that they can help it grow, but you've got to, you got to be there to decide. Can I protect this, or when do I water it? When do I trim it back? When
That's right. Yeah.
I'm out of my lane talking about this now.
Yeah.
But, I love the analogy, and I take everything back to basketball or something like a sporting. Similar to what you're saying about that, and I just think it's so rich the way God can take our passions or the things we enjoy, and He can teach us life. I'm mowing my lawn. I want my yard to look good, but it's some of my best thinking time.
Yeah, I
mean, it's just amazing how many thoughts I have out there, and I just think it's cool. You never know when the next great thought's coming, or the motivation or the idea, etc. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's great. Well, how about any lessons that you've learned that maybe would have been valuable, or you wish you would have known a little bit earlier on in the journey?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, it seems like I'm constantly just saying, how can I be better? You're getting that feedback, a win or a loss. I think early on I mentioned it briefly, but I was just a little naive to think that everyone cared the same. And it kind of just, I always say like sincerity is a great thing because you're being sincere, and like my love for the game, my love for these kids, what I want to accomplish. And maybe they have that same passion, maybe they don't. So sometimes, when you're vulnerable like that, you can kind of leave yourself open to be disappointed. But yet you're never going to have those impactful relationships if you don't do it that way. So I've just tried to be careful not to get upset if someone doesn't love it as much as I do, because I just it's challenging because I'm dependent on players. I'm dependent on my coaches, and I've been blessed to have very hardworking, loyal, passionate people work with me and for me. But I think early on I resented that, or it bothered me. It become something I would carry with me. Not at a great level. Like, I can't even think of any one or any situation, but I can just think at large that was, just why, I wish everybody cared as much as I do. And maybe that's, a little bit of, self-aggrandizement. Like, maybe I'm giving myself an excuse there too. So a lot of people do care, it's my job to help them care more too. So, I learned that along the way, and, 1,000 other things. I just think, if you can get people on your side, most people will do anything you ask them to do. And if you can just help them to see how important it is for their role, even if it may not be the star or it's behind the scenes, like we've said. And then I would say, like, the thing I think, like, all leaders can communicate better. And I just think that's a constant, because when you've got a team, everyone has the potential to feel not wanted or unseen or not appreciated. We could always say, well, I gave you a scholarship, you're appreciated, or you get your paycheck, don't you? Don't you? But just those words of encouragement, you just never know what's going on outside the doors and the walls of your program, what life is throwing against them. So I just think, like, just be an encourager. Yeah. Just be light to them. That's why, as another thing I've learned, is just to find other people in like-minded situations. So fortunate with Holly to carry the load with her, but also to have other coaching friends. They're really mentoring me, and maybe I'm doing the same for them. But, I just said I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I did not ever care. I always surround myself with people I thought were highly intelligent, hardworking, and my ego wasn't affected by that. Like, I want to win. I want us to be the best. If this person helps us get there, and it's going to help me. So I just tried to find people that were maybe had been on the path I was on. They could help me not make the same mistakes, just like I'm trying to do for those that are, behind me on this journey. I'm trying to, say, look out for this. This is where we were trying to go. And so you find yourself on different places on that road, but just finding people that can help you get where you want to go, maybe avoid some of the challenges, even though the challenges will be there, whatever. Yeah. You're not avoiding them all, for sure.
Well, I like this idea, too, that everybody has their own superpower. Like, there's something that they're really good at, and could be like, if you're looking at sports, maybe they are a good shooter, maybe the dribbler, maybe they're just a great support. But, you're looking at these players they've got a life beyond the basketball court, right? Even in the moment, though the moment you're in is like, it's all basketball, and then knowing, like, there's this other on the other side of it thing. But I'm sure even in your role of, like, these kids are all unique, right? They've all got unique abilities, they've all got unique personalities, unique temperaments, and so knowing, like, man, that one may not be the best basketball player, but right now they're the best encourager we need on the team, or they're the best, passer on the team, and that's what we need. Exactly. Right? Is somebody to get around and find that open player. And so just as it's neat to think about, like, you even having to dig through, sift through, and find unique abilities within all of the people, because I'm sure every year it's not even just that the individuals are different. You had some that graduated off, and now you got some coming in, and even though maybe the majority of your players are all the same, you got this new dynamic. It's a new personality on the basketball court.
Yeah, I just say the combination's changing every day, and you got to figure it out. Yeah, you just got to keep trying to figure it out. And now I need this guy to pick up for this guy's role, and I found that when people are dependent upon, they usually step up and rise to the occasion. And that's why the communication piece of, this is what I need you to do to help me. But you also need them to agree with that. Yeah. And so if it's a lesser role, you have to sincerely, honestly, not manipulatively tell them this is why your role is valuable. Yeah. And those are hard conversations too, because everyone wants a certain role. And yet on a team, not everyone gets that role. Sure. And so you just have to communicate that. And even in recruiting, I just try to be as clear as I can. but I also don't know how good this person's going to be.
Sure.
I don't know how they're going to be compared
Yeah.
to this other person that's coming in.
Yeah.
So I just say, I promise you, I'll put you around good people, and we're going to work hard.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you stay 4 years, you'll get a degree.
Yeah.
Those are the things I'll promise.
Yeah.
Aside from that, it's going to be earned, and
yeah.
it's
Can't
hard
promise
work.
a certain number of wins throughout the
No,
year.
I wish.
Championship.
Yeah, I can promise you there'll be some highs and lows.
That's right.
Some good days, some tough days, but we'll get through it, and you'll be better for it.
Mm.
And you just you hope they're up for that, and they want to join you on that journey.
Yeah,
So.
I feel like we could all probably use that in life too. Of like,
yeah.
whether you're running a business and saying, "Hey, I can't promise you we're going to be
yeah.
the most successful. You're going to have the most sales, or you're going to be, the next real estate guru." But I can assure you, you're going to be surrounded by people who will encourage you. You're going to be put in this environment. And,
to know that they have a say in the outcome, like the final chapter's not been written,
Yeah.
or the story's still being written. However, I always tell our guys the headlines hadn't been written. I heard a quote the other day said the game doesn't know who's supposed to win. So like you can have a part in this outcome here. So that's why we're working hard.
Well,
and championships are won in the off season, and one day winner will ask what you did all summer. I mean, there's all kinds of quotes that I think are just great. If you don't plant those seeds, come harvest, it's not going to be pretty bare out there. And if you don't do all the hard work, and there's no guarantee what that plant's going to look like when it comes up. But there is a guarantee if you don't do it, what that's going to look like. It's not going to be good. You're not going to be showing them off.
Right. That's right. Well, how about anything you're learning lately? What's been new to you, or what are you pouring yourself into? Yeah,
that's a great point. I think, my day is just kind of like Groundhog Day here lately, where it's just recruiting, planning, going for the. So I'm just trying to be as efficient as I can. I think the big thing at this stage of my life, my daughter's married, my son just went off to college. Is Holly and I are empty nesters. Let's just be intentional about these days. That's really what I've tried to do. Let's be intentional, because we all know in hindsight how fast the time goes.
Yeah.
Going forward, it seems to crawl, but looking back, it seems to fly. So we know that. Let's learn from that. Let's be intentional now. Let's embrace these moments with friends, with family, with opportunities, whatever it is. And the hard times are going to go by too. So we'll get through these as well. Let's don't let them overwhelm us. Let's just look for how God can use it. Let's be intentional, really. And that's something we can still be better at. But that's the key. I think a lot of times I look back at old games, or you see something, or there used to be the ESPN Classic channel, or even we talked about championships that are won. Like, they seem so important in the moment, but you look back and it was great at that moment, but like no one's life was, so obviously their lives are affected by what happens, but just today, like, let's just be better today, and let's make the people around us better today. And this is who God has set in before us today. Let's lead well, encourage well, and enjoy the journey. And I think so many times for me early on, it was about the outcome. And then you get to that outcome and you're like, oh, that was good, or that didn't end the way you wanted, and what's next? So let's enjoy the journey as well, not just the destination.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good. And that idea of intentionality of, I think any stage of life that you're in, I think we're always either backwards or forwards, right? Thinking of,
100%.
Man, we didn't win that game, or I had a really bad day at work, or I'm dreading that thing that's coming tomorrow, or anticipating the next game, whatever it may be.
And if something good, and then it ends, and now back to this, and then that ends. I think
this idea of like narrowing the focus to let's pause. You don't have to stay in. I mean, you still got to think about the thing. You got to prep for the game. You got to prep for the phone call. You got to prep for whatever it is that's hard.
Right.
But I think also, taking the breath and saying, like, let's just enjoy this moment, right? And be appreciative of that and intentional in that. So I love that. I think that's...
And I think those rhythms of life, or whatever you would call it, are very important that you have good habits, you have good systems, whatever it might be, that you're always tweaking those. But I think that effectively is reaping and sowing as well. And so those are things that not anywhere near an example of what all that should look like, but there are some things that you try to do daily that I think over time the interest on it's compounding, and you're just exponentially better because you've stacked all those days, and then you look up and you've got 30 years experience at something. And I always say, like, in coaching is like, has this coach has coached 20 years, or really they've coached 1 year 20 times. How much better are they, or are we, or am I? And I think that's a good way to look at whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Is it for, there are fundamentals, there are things that don't change, but there are some things that are, they do evolve, and you need to change with the times a little.
Yeah.
So that's the wisdom of, where do I change and where do I stand my ground?
Right.
And so,
when do I go back to the fundamentals, even though it is?
Because usually when you're struggling, you're just like, we just got to get back to these simple things.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens.
Which is
when
in
you're
life,
struggling.
too.
Yes.
Right. I've overcomplicated it.
Yes.
I got to get back.
Yeah. And so just having the simplicity of life, the perspective, I think, can be helpful in that. And you're always having to protect it, but that is a good mindset, I think, or mentality to have.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I asked you about a book recommendation, and this was the book that you mentioned,
right.
One of the books. And it's the story of Benjamin Netanyahu. So I'd love to hear a little bit of why this book was meaningful for you and what you took out of it, because it's one that has not been recommended before. And
I'm kind of even shocked that I'm sitting here talking about it, because he's a guy's, of course, we didn't know everything was going to be happening when we scheduled this opportunity to talk. But I was just listening to a show, and he came on and was telling his story, and I was like, I didn't know any of this. I've heard his name on the news. I knew he was the Prime Minister of Israel, but I had no idea. And I was just like, wow, this guy has a fascinating journey. And then they said, his book Bibi, and I was like, Bibi, and it's his nickname, and it's coming out. And then I had some friends going to Israel, so I was like, well, I'll read this book, and then we'll talk about it. And I was just so fascinated. Growing up in school, I always loved history. I didn't love reading about the Holocaust, but I remember reading about, books that we would read in school about it. And then just the Israeli Mossad, which is kind of their CIA, their covert operations, just how they protect their country daily. And then I realized, Israel's so small. Obviously, as a Christian, you know about Israel. I wouldn't claim I'm an expert at all, but I was like, this guy has tremendous courage, because even people in his own country are against him, just like any leader. We see it in our country. And he has to stand the ground to do what's best for his country. He has to fight an enemy every day that's not just trying to harm him, but trying to eliminate him. And he's got to stand in the face of criticism. He's got to deal with people who've lost family. His own story of his brother being killed in the raid on Entebbe, when there was an Israeli plane that was hijacked and taken to a country by a dictator, and they flew in covertly and rescued everyone off that plane that was hijacked, and only one person died. It was his brother. How he slept in the cold and the ice as a member of the Israeli army. I was just fascinated. Like, this is a person you just criticize or like, depending on your politics, but he has a life of service, of sacrifice, of personal grief and pain, and yet he's always having to to figure out how to work it. He's always playing the game of getting along with them, having to fight off them. It was just fascinating. It was an incredible read. I couldn't put it down, and I love to read, and so I know I sent you a couple of options. But I love true stories. And maybe it's biased in a form or fashion. There are lots of things in there that he says he would do differently if he could. But and since I read the book, a lot of this conflict has come front and center to the news. So I've kind of even had a keener eye on it, just to
absolutely
knowing
having some backstory.
The challenges, and then on November 7th or October 7th when the Hamas raided them, and I just kind of sympathize with his challenges, and not even just as a leader, as a human being, just to appreciate how hard his job must be, and how few people maybe really even take time to appreciate it. Right. So then, like, okay, who's in my sphere that is doing the same thing? How can I be more grateful and respectful for certain leaders, even if I don't agree with everything they do? It's still a person,
absolutely,
with a family that's and everyone has different motives, so not to get that's not even a political thing. It's just he's a strong leader in a very challenging situation. And I just was fascinated by all the decisions and hard decisions he's had to make through his career, and how he's had to just kind of be still focused on doing what he thinks best in the face of criticism. It's one thing for some fans to think I was not very smart or disagree with something I did as a coach. I mean, criticizing the coach is pretty easy. But to have millions of people that maybe are trying to kill you or
it's
hate
a different story.
I mean, it's like, okay, like I can learn from this guy. I can learn from his story, maybe what to do, what not to do, but there's learning there, and I'm always trying to take something and make it something that can benefit me, and therefore benefit those I lead. The leader gets better, the team gets better.
So as the lid rises, everybody else can rise.
Totally.
That's great. Well, it's a big book. It's a pretty thick one.
It's not
a big read.
It's but you'll find yourself getting through it pretty
moving quickly.
So,
Well, the reason you did give me multiple books. The reason I picked this one is just because it sounded the most fascinating. It was the most out there, kind of the books you said. So I thought, and I'd really like to hear your take on why this book in particular was meaningful for you. But if I can hear one thing out of your story, and I love hearing themes, I can say almost every time people are talking, it's like, that's their theme throughout it. I hear a theme with you, and it's just like perseverance through adversity. That we all have a story, and whether it's kind of a big life event, or sometimes it's just the mini storms, right? The games, the injuries, it's the maybe the negative comment made to you about no, keep dreaming or try something else, different route, but like pushing through that adversity, and maybe even using that adversity to make you better, make you stronger. So I love hearing that theme as you're talking. I can tell you're probably a very effective coach because of the trust that you build, and also that push through the adversity. I think a lot of people look to you as a leader because of that. So
thank you.
I love it. Absolutely. And I enjoy our time today.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I'm tickled that we had this much time to sit down and get to pick your brain about.
I'm honored to be with you, and thanks for sharing leadership with the fine folks of this area, and
absolutely,
and all around.
Yeah. Well, I want to conclude with one question, and it's if you had to simplify leadership down into one sentence, as simple as can be, what would it be to you?
Yeah, it's a John Maxwell quote that just would say, "Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less." If you're leading and no one's following, you're really not having much influence. So use that influence for good.
I love it. Well, thanks for being influential, an influencer, and just can't wait to see what you're going to do from here, and your team, and as you keep recruiting and keep evolving. Like, I'm gonna love watching you. It's going to be a great journey. So
thanks, Ruben.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Appreciate you.
You bet.